Hello.
Hello out there.
Hi. This is Lorena Manzanita with her partner in Divine, Tobin Giblin. And we thought we'd do a little sharing on the topic or the inquiry. How can you turn what could be potentially a drama-filled situation into a healing opportunity?
Yeah.
It's the question of the millennia.
Straw into gold.
Right?
Really, this is such a $1,000,000 question. How do we meet these speed bumps, these challenges when the rubber hits the road in relationship, which it always does, always will at some point.
Anytime there's like any hint of love in the system, we're gonna encounter these places. I feel like believe they're unlovable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we meet those places, we can greet them in a way that creates drama, both within our own psyches and in the relationship.
Yeah. The funny thing is, you're speaking at such a deep level, like that's going to bring up parts of us that don't know our lovability, don't know our inherent worthiness, but that's even usually hidden. Usually it just shows up as some reaction, like some frustration, anger, punishment, blame. You name it.
True.
Just the ugly, challenging
There's something ugly going on.
This challenging, intense impulse of frustration, blame, anger, trigger. We all know what we're talking about. Everybody
There's like your heart is beating faster. There's like maybe like your body is contracting.
There's always a contraction. Mm-hmm. And usually I call it the inner pit bull. That pit bull wants to just bite onto its case of how to fix that feeling, which is usually make the other person wrong, make them change, get something, fix something.
Or run away.
Right. Everybody has their own version of what to do once that reaction, that contraction arises. So how to turn that, which can often lead into a fight, into escalation, into drama, into pain, into separation.
Right, I'm going to bail this relationship. Exactly. I'm either fighting in like my trauma resolution training where we talk about fight, flight, and freeze. Mm-hmm. So there's like, the pit bull is all about fighting. Mm-hmm. The flighting, that's like, I'm out of here. I'm dumping this relationship. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Adios. And it might be like a flight into the head. Too. Yeah. It's like, I'm still here, but I'm criticizing the fuck out of you in my brain.
Or whatever, or going numb, or withdrawing in some way.
So and that's more of a freeze kind of quality. Yeah. That numb, shut down, emotionally kind of dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're looking for what's the way out of that, and into not only just back to neutral, but the amazing thing is when we can work with these challenging waves well, it turns things not only back into neutrality, but into amazing transmutation to where more intimacy happens, more love, more beauty, more... I mean, we're on the other side of one of those waves right now.
Yeah, we are.
We got really, really challenged a couple of days ago, and now we're sitting in this place of like bliss and oneness and profound space. And I mean... Yeah. It's impossible to even put into words the goodness that has come out of those challenges. And we've basically, knock on wood, that happens pretty much every time for us. When we go into a challenge, we meet it in this certain way, and then we come out with it becoming something actually better.
Right. So, like, before the challenge, like, who we were before the activation comes up is better.
On the other side.
On the other side.
On the other side, we're better off having gone through that than we were in our state before, which was already good, but we keep going like this. And not that I'm wanting to bring upon ourselves any more challenges. Like I hate them as much as the next person. I squirm out of them as much as the next person, and I don't wish them on anybody, but since they come our way, and since
it does seem an inevitable part of life,
especially in relationships,
for sure,
then how to work with that's the $1,000,000 question.
And that's the topic of the moment.
Yeah.
So there's the challenge, drama,
and
then this question is like, how do you move through that portal into like a more whole state, a more intimate place, a more connected state, like.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the short nutshell version of this, because you could write books on this, and it's something that you and I have devoted much of our life energy to, and our relation is just sort of part of who we are now. Right. But we want to put it in a little nutshell version, hit the high notes so people have something to take away from this video and apply in their lives and in their relationship and actually start to reap the benefits and sow the gold out of the straw of the stuff, the nitty gritty. So what do you like? Let's start with you. What do you think is the most important thing?
Well, one, just naming it. Like this last wave, I kept on telling myself, oh, this is a trauma reaction. Like what I'm experiencing right now is an activation of some old material that was like happened well before, whatever happened between us 3 days ago.
Yes.
And so I'm like contextualizing this, like this feeling, fear of loss, this intensity of emotion. It's, I kept on saying, it's like, I've got enough witness to know that what I'm feeling right now is more than what's happening right here. So in that way, I'm not like saying like that, I'm not projecting all the wounding my father gave to me all on him.
Thank you for doing your work. It's such a relief. I am a blessed man being with this woman who does her work so well. And I could feel you doing that. You even said it out loud, like, I'm in my shit. It's really intense, and I know it's beyond what's going on with you. It's about what we were going through, but it's also the charge, the intensity is way beyond and is getting triggered from who knows where back in our history, which was then triggering me in my history. So I was doing the exact same thing that she's describing.
Right.
And we're both kind of burning in that cauldron of, okay, something's up. It's about this, but it's way beyond this. Right. And I'm going to put my attention as much as I possibly can on the beyond this, the place where it was from before I try to address the practicalities of our conversation, because there were some practicalities. There are some practical things like agreements and working things out. And, hey, I would love it if you did such and such. And, hey, what if we do this going forward? And, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And, all those things can come into play. But when it's charged with all the history and all the intensity of the past, that conversation is really, really difficult to have in a clean way. So we first and foremost do our own, it could happen between us with our support people or in our own meditations or whatever, but we do the work of like, whoa, this is something that's beyond just right now, that's coming up for integration, for love, for presence, for healing and releasing. And so we really have a very deep commitment to that type of perspective, and Lorena's describing that beautifully, and she is amazing at doing that. So
likewise,
we went into that and it was both kind of grueling and I think that's a really good highlight.
What would you add to the picture?
Good question. Well, the next one I would highlight, and it's inherent in what you're saying, but it's the willingness to kind of feel those frustrated states within your own being in a what we call resourced way. So feeling it to heal it, feeling it to integrate it, that's one of the biggest keys. You can't just bypass this stuff. You can't just slide over it, slide around it. This stuff is in us already. I call what you just described, where if the love is in the field, our stuff's going to bubble up. I call that the flotsam and jetsam effect. Like something's going to activate us if it's in there, and it's going to come up. And when it comes up to be released or healed or integrated back into our wholeness, it doesn't just go whoop out. It doesn't go out the side door.
It's not like a balloon that flies out.
Or like a nice little air pocket that is out that way. It's like right into our face, right? And through our hearts and our
nervous system is just flooded with
every bit of us is feeling it, like through our fingertips and our toes and our eyes and our brains are flooded with this experience of frustration, anger, upset, whatever it is. So the
defense strategy of choice.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, the ability to mindfully, meditatively, lovingly feel that as it's passing through is one of the big keys to this alchemy happening.
And Tobin used the word resourced. And so like one of the ways you can resource this, what feels like an under-resourced space, is that focusing on the present moment, what is good in the environment. Sometimes it's just like, I'm going to focus on that leaf blowing in the wind with some sunlight on it. It's like, that's going to take me to here and now more so.
Some sweet way of staying connected to now, even though what you're also feeling is like nitty gritty, challenging stuff.
A relic of the past.
And the ability to stay with that is what alchemizes it from the inside out. That's what, like, where the magic happens.
Right.
So that ability is really high on the list, I think.
Yeah, and another resource, I think, is slowing things down.
Beautiful, yeah.
Really slowing things down. Like, and like, paying attention to the details of what's happening in your body. Like, so much of our kind of dramatic acting out is in this attempt to not be with like the discomfort in our bodies, in our hearts. But like, if you kind of like really slow it down and pay attention, like, oh, my throat is contracting. There's this tightness in my solar plexus. I'm feeling this clench in my jaw. And so it's like you're really discerning the details of the physiological reactions happening in your body.
So visceral, subtle, in touch thing. That's where the magic really can occur. And that does take a slowing down. For most of us, we have to slow it way down. Rein in that energy to do whatever our reaction is, and feel and stay and listen and discern. And then the next one, I'll just add the next thing that I think is really important, is the communication.
Right.
Like communicating, the art of it. I mean, that's a big, this again, we could write a book on this, but this part is, we'll just do a nutshell version of it, but communication is the next key. Like, even if that communication is, I can't even talk right now, I need more time. Or, but what, you might ask, through the haze of the response, the intense emotion, you might say, but I feel like you did such and such. What's the truth about that? So some skillful communication to start getting reality checks and start that conversation going in the direction of being on the same team and working together toward a harmonious resolution.
Definitely. And I feel like what helps communication, like skillful, artful, connecting communication, is like really taking responsibility for your experience. Like communication that's got this like finger pointing, blaming, criticizing, but you did this and you did that, is like it just kind of feeds the drama.
Does not work.
Versus like communication and what Gay and Kathleen Hendricks calls like the unarguable truth. Like just naming is like, when you did that, I felt this, I noticed this, my impulse was to do that. It's more of like you're reporting and naming your experience versus kind of like doing too much interpretation of your experience, and particularly of the other person's experience. Like analyzing and weaving stories of intent on their reality. It just like, it makes things blow up.
And this I think is so important and so subtle. And I just want to highlight, because we're just kind of like saying these things like, oh yeah, no big deal. Turn from going you to, oh, me, to I am and I feel and I wish and I would love. Like that little thing, and we can say that in one sentence, or the 2 minutes that we've taken to say that, but to actually get a human being to make that shift, I've had clients take a year to finally blast out of that impulse to you. And so that thing of, and you know what I think the main ability, the way that can turn over is two things. One is I'm willing to be vulnerable, and two, I'm willing to let go of the control of the outcome. Which means I might be having to be willing to end up single if this doesn't work. Now, I'm not bailing. I'm not taking our connection lightly. But deep in my own core, I know that my devotion is more to a living expression of truth and love, true love, as opposed to trying to fix you, make you work, make myself or you fit into some model of what I think is supposed to happen. So that's a major surrender. That's a major release.
That's a big paradigm shift
it's a big
too, compared to what our general cultu's like
it's huge. That's
model
why I'm
of relating is.
highlighting it.
Yeah,
this is paradigm shift.
I think we should just like end on that,
and maybe pick up here next time.
Yeah.
But we'll leave you with that.
Be willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And release control
of
outcome of like.
Easier said than done. It's
super
the magic
easy.
bullet. It's true surrender. That's true surrender. We're not talking about a kind of laissez-faire, oh, who cares? I don't need this. I could be fine on my own. This is true, real, in the guts surrender, where you're like, okay, my God, I love this. I love what we have. I love this person. I'm just devoted my existence in some way to this. And yet I know that I can't try to control her, fix her, make her the way that would make me feel more comfortable. All I can do is express my truth, my true desires, and then release the outcome into the field of this mystery. And that's where love grows. That's the fertile ground out of which we're finding love grows more and more and more like a flower. It just keeps being more and more and more and more profound.
So don't just take our word for it. Feel free to use this, like take this as a hypothesis and bring it into your life and play with it. Practice it, explore it, find your own truth in relationship to this possibility.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What the hell would life be like if you can like lean into vulnerability?
And lean into that fertile, unknown, released mystery and let the place where love really arises from start to take over. And that's all of a sudden you like we started this, okay, well, frustrating experience, but then like right now I think we're both feeling and remembering and bathing in that fruit that we've been sharing. Like on the other side of one of these waves, there's more intimacy, more connection, more care, more sweetness, more tenderness, more passion.
More passion.
More passion. That's the good part. Extra bonus. Extra bonus.
Totally.
So anyway, enjoy, play with it.
Thanks for spending some time with us. It was a pleasure to connect with you in this way. And we're available. We're here. Both relationship coaches.
This is what we do is help people experience this and live this and share this in the world. So by all means, connect if you feel inspired. And otherwise, I have a feeling there's more to say on this, so we'll probably do another video
For sure. All right.
Okay.
Until next time. Toodles.
Bye-bye.